So I've got another, I guess, a bit of a personal one, and it's really affected me because it's something I went through when I was much younger, and that is this kind of belief in nihilism, and it's not even just a belief in nihilism. It's almost people are embodying it. People are looking at life like it has no meaning and no purpose, and the thing that I see, especially in young people today, is this concept that regardless of what they do, regardless of what they achieve, regardless of trying, regardless of doing, it's just not worth it. It's just meaningless, and it has no real inherent value. I think there are people even judging today the concept of values, and where they're looking at life as if it's just a human construct, if it's just a bunch of human BS. Really, my actions and the values that I carry are just made up myths. They're just something that keeps me in line. It's something that keeps me under the thumb of the powers that be. And I should be able to do whatever I want to whoever I want, because at the end of the day, nothing really has any inherent value. And it's scary. It's scary because there was a time in my life when I certainly felt that way. And frankly, what happened with me is, so I'm an uneducated fool. I am someone who has literally a fourth grade education. And I dropped out in the seventh grade. I did start working at a very young age. I had a full-time job when I was 13. But what really happened during that time is I felt so ashamed and embarrassed because I couldn't read, I couldn't write. I really had no skills whatsoever. The only thing I could do was just physical labor. And I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed that people would find this out. I remember there's times somebody would ask me something and ask me how to spell something, and I would always try to find a way to get out of it. Or if I had to fill out a contract, I found a way. Let me just take that home and I'll bring it back tomorrow. Or and people would look at you like, well, it's just right here. Why can't you do it now? And it really was because I was so worried that people would find this secret out about me. And so when I came across the concept of nihilism, in a lot of ways, it kind of freed me. It was almost, I almost fell in love with it because it relieved me of the responsibility of trying. It relieved me of the responsibility of the doing. I could now just basically tell the world, yeah, I'm uneducated, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm rich. It doesn't matter if I'm poor. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I seek. And I kind of made that my religion when I was between, basically 15 and 20. And I look back at that time and I think how silly that was and how foolish that was and how much of a fool I was for buying into the concept of nihilism, this kind of nothingness, and it's that concept of why. If you start out with asking why something exists and why are we doing this and why do we act this way and why do our beliefs tell us this, why does our culture do this, what really matters, why does anything really matter? And it wasn't until I actually started listening to a radio program and instead of, I remember this so clearly, there was a concept and he was talking about how nihilistic the world was becoming. And instead of asking the why, you should be asking what if, what if I do this? What if I achieve this? What if I try this? What if I do something special? And that little what if replaced my why, and it started to change how I thought, and it started to change how I believe and how I perceive the world. So much of today when I read articles or even some of the comments that we get and just kind of look at young people today and have these discussions, you could tell that a portion of this is based in nihilism. And it's not even pessimism. It's really nihilism, because they're really starting to buy into the concept that nothing matters and nothing they do. It really has, why try? Why do? Why put yourself out there? I think, and nihilism becomes a way to kind of cover up your fear, kind of cover up the thing that makes you, have to take risk and have to take a chance, and how to, and and it becomes much easier to complain about life than living. It's frightening. Because all civilizations who have kind of adopted a nihilistic perspective fall by the wayside very quickly. If there's no reason to do, there's no reason to try, there's no reason to exist, there's no reason to have babies, there's no reason to have, to connect with your neighbor, there's no reason to connect with your society, there's no reason to connect with the world in which you live. Those societies become, selfish and, disbanded. And frankly, I would say nihilism becomes a form of narcissism, because you only see the world through the way you want it to be, and the things that you want to do. And if you could say, well, it's the values, these myths, these things that are just made up, these human values that control our behaviors, they're all garbage, myth, something based out of an old religion, out of some old book. Why do we need them? I could create my own. There's no point to any of this. There's no point to this. It doesn't matter in the long run anyways. We are all just going to die. The universe is going to implode, and existence doesn't have any true value or meaning. So I should be able to do what I want. I should be able to seek the things that my heart desires. When you do that, you start to look at other people as an impediment to your desires, to the things that you want, the things that I need to achieve, or the types of behaviors that I want to act out in. And society, kind of starts to be a burden upon you. And again, I say this not to condemn it, but to try to say there's a better path, because I'm somebody who lived it. I'm someone who adopted it. I'm someone who saw the world from that point of view for quite a few years. To have a behavior that satisfies your immediate desires, that desire of I'm tired, or I just want to eat what I want to eat, and I want to do what I want to do. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to go out. I don't want to have to interact with people. I don't want to have to make myself vulnerable to find friendship. It feeds your own ego, because you are the one who's figured it out, and you're the one who knows. You're the one who understands the universe. And the strange thing about nihilism, and I mean this from a different point of view, is if you believe that nothing really matters, and nothing has any value, and yet you live in a world that exists, that is constantly changing, it's constantly developing, and it's constantly deteriorating on one hand, and it's springing up on another. And so obviously existence exists. The meaning of life maybe is just to live. You become blind to the opportunities that you have. You become blind to the privilege that you exist in. All of the stuff and all of the universe, and how 99.99999% of it is not living. It's not existing. It is just a substance that's floating, or embedded, or just buried beneath the planet or the earth. It's something that might be molten, but it is something that is not experiencing life. It's just a particle in which life could use. We have this ability as human beings, not only to create life, but to essentially allow a piece of the universe to look upon itself and gaze upon its own existence. And so much of the nihilistic perspective is, well, yes, you're caught in a universe, but it really has no meaning. It doesn't serve a purpose, and that certainly might be true. But all I could tell you is, I was a young kid, and I had bad eyesight, and for the majority of my childhood, everything was blurry, everything was fuzzy. But that's how I understood the world. I didn't see the detail. I didn't see how unique things were. They were just a bit of a blur. And that's how I understood the world in which I lived. And then one day I get a pair of glasses, and my whole world changed. My whole perspective changed. How just the detail of a flower petal, just the detail of a blade of grass, just the detail of the world around me exploded. I had a new perspective. I had a new insight to the world in which I live. And and this goes back to, instead of why, maybe ask yourself, what if? What if there really is a deep purpose to life? What if there's a deep purpose to being? What if there's a deeper purpose to existing? And all we're missing is that pair of glasses, that thing that just gives it that detail, in which gives you a better understanding of what that is. It might be just a simple device that we have not come across or seen, or maybe we're just living in it and it's so apparent to us as I sit here in this beautiful place and gaze upon the universe around me. And it could be just the fact that that existence is a form of data collection, a form of the universe collecting data to understand, to ask that question to itself, to maybe to answer the why question. And we are all bits and pieces and bits and bobs in order, to find that ultimate truth. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, you have two lives. You have the life that you're living, and then you have the life that you live once you realize this is the only life that you have. And I truly think that the meaning of life is living. The meaning and the purpose of this existence is just being. It's experiencing the universe. And I mean it because it is such a privilege. It is such it's something that we should be so immensely grateful for. We stand upon the dirt and the soil that might not ever get an opportunity to exist. As I wrap this conversation up, I just want to find a way to inspire you. And so instead of saying life is hard, it has no meaning, it doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter how I live, maybe instead of saying why should I do this, why should I try that, maybe you should say, what if I try this? What if I do this? What if the world will open up to me? Because if you don't try and you don't put that effort in, you don't try to pursue something, then life will be meaningless. It will come to nothing. Recently I was talking to a friend, and we've spent a year or so on a business that frankly is not successful right now. And the reality of it is, if I give up now, then that year was a waste. If I give up now, then all of that effort meant nothing. So instead of just looking from a nihilistic point of view that, well, it never really mattered in the first place, I could look at it and say, well, what if all that stuff that I've gone through has taught me lessons? What if all those things I've gone through has given me a better insight on how to be successful? What if all the lessons that I've learned over the year are just an investment instead of something that I've failed at? What if what if those things that I would consider as failures are not failures? What if those are ways of not to do it and so I just need to find the ways to do it? What if it's just a way of changing my mind? What if it's just a better way for me to have a greater understanding of how things work and how to do things and how to be more effective and how to speak better, do better, become better, and be a better human being? Nihilism is a leech upon your soul. It is something that will suck you dry. If you don't believe that anything matters, and you don't believe that there is a purpose or that there's a reason to being, then you don't take actions in order to find it, in order to become it. You do take actions to make your life better. You don't take actions in order to make the world better. You don't take actions to make your civilization better. If I could convince you of one last thing, it is like trying, stepping up to that plate and swinging and swinging and swinging and swinging will make your life so much better, because every swing that you miss, every time that you get up and you have to go back and sit back down, every time that you do that, you learn something. Professional people and the people like Elon Musk, or name someone who you think is, achieving incredible things, didn't start achieving incredible things out of the gates. They struggled. They had to figure it out. They had to come up with ways of doing things. They had to figure out how to be efficient and how to make their lives work. Stop looking at the outcome and start looking at the input. And man, I could tell you, if you input and you start to find the things that fill your heart with passion and purpose, and you start to design your life around, you get to design your purpose, and you get to design your passion, and you get to design the world in which you want to live and the person that you want to become. Life will be meaningful. Life will give you purpose and pride within it. You will find joy, and you will find things that you love. With all that said, I want to leave you with one of my favorite poems, and it's from Edgar Albert Guest. Life is a jest, take the delight of it. Laughter is best, sing through the night of it. Swiftly a tear in the hurt and the ache of it. Find us down here, life must be what we make of it. Life is a song, let us dance to the thrill of it. Grief hours are long and cold and the chill of it. Joy is a man's need, let us smile for the sake of it. This be our creed, life must be what we make of it. Life is a soul, a virtue and a vice of it. Strive for a goal, a man's strength is the price of it. Your life and mine, the bear and the bread and the cake of it. End with this line, life must be what we make of it. Please like and subscribe if you like what we are doing. Also, hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a video. And man, all I could say is, God, I hope that somebody who's watching this turns off their computer, looks outside and says, you know what? I want to experience that. I want to experience my life. I want to live and enjoy being. All right, you got to check this out. Here we go.